Hey everybody, welcome back to our next episode of Learn with PARQA. I'm Chanel and I'm joined by our VP of Sales, Travis Webb, and our President and CEO, Jared Hummel. And we have an incredibly important topic for the staffing industry in this episode, which is all about technology assessments. So if you're a staffing firm leader, you know that the right technology can make or break your ability to scale, automate, stay competitive. But how do you know if your tech is actually working for you? That's where a tech assessment comes in. So, Jared, Travis, thanks so much for being here on the episode today. Um, can you just share a little bit, Jared, about why you're passionate about this topic?
Yeah, glad to be here. I've had a little bit of a hiatus, so it's good to be back on Learn with Parka. Yeah, I mean, at Parka, we're just really passionate about the tech assessment because honestly, it's really that tip of the spear of you're putting a lot of investment, like technology is your foundation. Obviously, with everything going on with AI and AI agents and all that, like it can get overwhelming. And so if you're feeling confused or scared about the changes ahead, I think a tech assessment to really understand what your current state is and what the possibilities are, uh, gives a little sense of relief having that partner along the way on the journey to make the right decision for you and your business to drive the growth that you're trying to drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start with the basics. Travis, why is a tech assessment critical for staffing firms today? Kind of piggybacking off what Jared just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I talk to staffing firms all day, every day, right? And what I hear a lot of the times is we've invested in a tool, we've invested in a specific ATS or CRM, we've invested in automation, we have all these third-party integrations. We don't think our tools are working. We're going to go invest in more tools, right? And it's that snowball effect of like, well, this isn't working, let's add this. But the reality is it's not the technology. Sometimes it's the configuration, it's the workflows that are set up. So when we look at the tech assessment, it really allows our team of experts to come in, dig in, map out all the technologies, make sure that it's set up and configured correctly, and really identify those gaps before a company goes and spends more money on more technology, right? So new tech is not always the answer, and that's where the tech assessment comes into play. Is let's leverage let's look at what you have today. Let's map it out. Let's make sure you're using it. It's optimized, and you're getting the most out of it before you make that ultimate decision to either add to your tech stack or scrap it and completely start over.
hmm hmm Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk a little bit more about Parker's approach. Obviously, you can go about a tech assessment a handful of different ways. There's a few different methodologies out there, if you will. But Jared, can you speak a little bit about Parker's kind of tried and true process when it comes to our tech assessment?
Yeah, I think it piggybacks a little bit off of what Travis just said is that I feel like sometimes whether you're doing it internally or with an external partner, you're really just focused on the technology. And it's like, well, we need this tool because we don't have it, and we need this tool because we don't have it, or we think this will help our business. But I think what separates Parka maybe from the rest or even from an internal team is just the idea that it's not just the technology. Like when you're looking at it, um, there's definitely a business aspect in our assessments in terms of like what is your business process and then mapping your technology to that business process. The other
Yeah.
thing that I think gets forgot sometimes or a lot of the time is the data component. Like at the end of the day, you're moving data through your technology to drive business results. And so if you're just looking at technology, that might not actually be the root of your problem because you can go
Right.
spend a ton of money on this tool that's supposed to help with outbound or help with automation or help with screening a candidate. But like if the data doesn't flow through the system in a way that you can use the tool, then you put the cart before the horse. And so that's where I think Parka, from a tech assessment standpoint, kind of separates itself. Is it's not just like peddling tech, quote unquote. It's
Yeah.
looking at your business and how you're going to drive better business results. And then, I know that, like I said, tech assessment is really that tip of the spear, but I think also what you get with Parka is that ongoing relationship that we are an implementation partner and an advisory firm and a managed service firm. So as technology becomes more and more important in the efficiency of a staffing firm, it's not just hey, pay us X dollars, we'll tell you what to do, and good luck doing it. Like, appoint a recruiter or an internal person to handle this. Like, this is a core of your business. And so looking at all aspects of it, every size company has their own strengths and limitations of their capacity to actually fulfill their goals, and we can really flex to be a part of that journey with y'all.
Yeah. And Chanel, real quick, just to jump in on that, I think too that the tech assessment is not we have a process, but it's not a canned approach for every client. I think that's important, right? And we're going to talk about it here in a bit about some of the different scenarios, but I think that's important too, right? Like, it's not a one size fits all. Everybody has a different problem. Everybody's looking for, well, they all have a pretty mutual outcome, right? But as you think through the tech assessment and where that next step is in their business, they're looking for different outcomes at times too. So I think it's important that we look at all the things Jared just mentioned, but ultimately it's understanding what the client wants to get out of that tech assessment, like what their ultimate goal is, and being able to deliver on that piece of it.
Yes, absolutely. It really is a game changer. I know the tech assessment itself is just the tip of the spear, but like we keep talking about, it's all about the business results, the business outcomes that come from analyzing technology, syncing that up with data process, with the business process across all of the different teams that are touching all of these technologies. Speaking of, success stories and things that we've seen in terms of business outcomes with our clients, can you guys, I want to spend the last, the bulk of our conversation here just talking about some of those success stories with a few of our clients that have seen tremendous benefits from, going through this exercise, if you will.
Yeah. No, I'll start. I mean, the one that, when I say they're all different, right? So the one that comes to mind is we worked with a customer that implemented Salesforce on their own, right? But then quickly realized, in their ecosystem, they had, I think it was 25 plus different systems running. So if you think about, hey, Chanel, I want to try this tool. Hey, Jared, I want to try this tool. And the answer always being yes, right? And then we're getting data from this source, but then we having it verified by a team offshore. And when we drew out the architectural map, it was pretty mind-boggling, right? But then we were able to go in, work through each one of those tools, understand the contract, the dollar amount, what it was costing them each year, where there was duplication, how we could eliminate some of those systems. So I think in the first pass, we eliminated either nine or 10 systems out of that, right? Which still left a lot, but
from a dollar value standpoint, what did that equate to, Travis?
Oh, it was several $100,000 in licensing each year that we were able to eliminate. Right. And so that's step one. Right. But we were able to go in and say, OK, hey, let's get this under control. Let's understand what we have. When you have 4 different tools doing the same exact thing and they each cost you a lot of money each year, that starts to add up. It's easy to just ignore it and keep adding. But, going back, the whole point was like, hey, let's get it under control. And then let's put some processes in place to make sure that we don't come back 6 months from now and do a check-in and you're right back up and you've added 10 more systems back into it. So that's one, just kind of, as you think about the different styles of tech assessments we do, that's one that comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one that sticks out for me is one of the largest locum tenens providers in the world came to us, and obviously, when you're a multi-billion-dollar company, that looks a little bit different than if you're a $20 million company or a $100 million company. And I think really at the root of it, they kind of knew what technology they wanted to go towards. But when you're implementing a new technology in a multi-billion-dollar company, and they obviously have a lot of extremely high levels of talent throughout the organizations, but when you have a ton of talent throughout the organizations, you get into the spot where the technology team is fighting for something that the data team says they don't want, and the data team is fighting with the marketing team of what they want and don't want, and it gets really hard to make a unified decision for what's best for the business. And so really they asked us to come in from a validation standpoint of, hey, we think this is the right thing. we have all these smart people telling us how we should do it internally, but we need that third party voice to kind of take all the intelligent insights and boil it down into like, how are we going to go about this where not one of the divisions necessarily outweighs the other division, but establishes a proven process that, all the divisions know that they have to kind of root back to that true north of how we're going to go about this implementation of their new technology. So I thought that was, obviously for a specific size and type of company where they actually have all the resources, but are having a hard time getting traction and making the decision. We were able to support them in moving the needle forward and getting the board approval and really getting to the action step versus the planning step.
Yeah, and I think, Jared, you said a key word in there, validation.
Yeah.
Right. And that brings me back to another one where we were brought in. We had a customer, for their tech assessment, wanted validation. Like they had kind of felt like they exhausted all their options with their current provider. Mm-hmm. They had tried everything. They had tried third party, tools to go with it. And basically it was told like, hey, we want you to come in, and if our baby's ugly, we want you to call our baby ugly, right? Which still, I laugh every time I heard that. And I actually heard that on another call this morning I was on with another person. But
I love that.
If you think about that, they're like, that one was more of like, hey, we've done our research, but we want a third party opinion to come in and validate, number one, take a look at it from an outside view, validate, hey, are we right? Like, are we missing something? Like we talked about, like, what's optimized, what can we do here, what can we do there, like identify some optimization areas. But at the end of the day, a lot of it too was, hey, tell us, are we crazy or are we at a point where we have to either switch to a different version or upgrade to a different system? So, when I look at it from that standpoint, from a validation side, that's just another one where it's like, hey, what are our options? What can we do? What are our limitations with our current system? These are what we think they are. Are they true limitations? Can we fix those? Same vendor, different vendor. So a lot of that piece of it. So kind of that validation is key.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we stay on the track of validation, I think this is the same strategy, but coming from it from a different angle, quote unquote, is we actually got brought in by a client that had already implemented a new technology, and it was actually around direct sourcing, and the technology natively wasn't able to do what they were trying to accomplish. And so our engagement with them actually started out by building a custom product for them to be able to make it work. But they already had like a little, I don't know what the right word is, like stage fright, or like there was already that level of anxiety because like they thought they were going to go live, and then this component was missing, which took us some time to build, and then it got going, and it really validated like where PARQA comes into play. And so they actually did the tech assessment after, generally they were using it for commercial purposes with the idea that, hey, like you guys help solve this problem. If there's other problems or other opportunities in our current system to drive more revenue and better results, like we want to know about it. And so that led into doing it, kind of after they had picked the technology, after it was live, after we had already been working with them to get more out of the technology. And that client now has been a client of ours for 1.5 to 2 years, in that, we keep kind of helping them mature in their journey to leveraging the technology to its fullest. And so that's an example where we're not necessarily like peddling tech, helping you choose tech. It's actually helping you drive results. Like we actually use a Salesforce admin to continue to ride along with their team and give them insight into what's next.
Yeah.
And I would just say, Chanel, we could tell these stories all day long, right? So obviously we don't want to keep people here all day, but I'd wrap with one more story, and that comes down to like selection. And what I would say is, Jared mentioned it earlier, we don't sell software, right? Yeah. Like we work in the Bullhorn and Salesforce ecosystems. We don't sell software. We don't sell ATSs, right? But I can think of one where we got brought in and they were in the process of choosing a vendor. And, they wanted, once again, a third party opinion. We were able to work with them to map out their business requirements. Like, hey, these are the top 12 to 15 functionalities we have. And then we were able to help them, scorecard different options that they had: red, yellow, green. Green, hey, it's natively built into it. Yellow, you can do it, but it requires a third party integration. Red, it's just not possible, right? But once again, when you think about, we talked about one earlier, it's like we're arming these companies with the information they need to make their ultimate decision that's best for their company, right? We're not walking in saying, hey, you need to use this software, this third-party tool. Like, we're giving them their options, what works best with the way they do business. We talk about understanding their business process, and then allowing them to make strategic decisions as a company. So, when we talk about it, I think it's important, like for us, remaining third party, giving them their options, letting them ultimately make the decision based on their business processes and the information that we give them. I think it's important. And like I said, that none of these tech assessments look exactly alike, but I think we've just given you like 4 or 5 examples of different versions of what that looks like. And the ultimate goal is, it's not always, hey, you need to buy new tech. It's, can we optimize? Where are your areas that we can get immediate improvement, quick ROI, long-term solutions? Like, what's current state? What's future state look like? What does it take to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love hearing these stories of our customers and just the way that, they came to us with problems that needed to be solved, problems that were plaguing their ability to grow and scale. And that's what we're here for. It's our honor and privilege to get to come alongside staffing firms and help them optimize their technology, find the right pieces to put in the stack, integrate them, optimize them, get the data working correctly, leveraging automation and AI to its fullest potential, right? So that's what we're here for. If you have questions, want to get started, just schedule a conversation with us. Reach out to Travis. He's our tip of the spear here at PARQA. So obviously connect with any one of us 3 on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you. Drop any questions or comments below in this post. And that's what we've got for you today in our episode of Learn with PARQA. So we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Travis and Jared, for being here.
Thank you.